Definitely giants did exist in the past, and they were the result of a mixture between extraterrestrials and humans.
We have heard stories about the existence of giants in the past. However, many believe it to be a fallacy.
Mythology is full of giants, and we have to look at these old myths with modern languages.
However, a recent groundbreaking discovery by archaeologists about the tomb of a giant known as Anunnaki the Nephilim King, whose remains were found intact, has changed the narrative and sparked curiosity among many. The giant's skeleton has been retrieved for DNA genomes, making people ask more questions as they try to adjust to this new knowledge. But who is this Nephilim King? And what does this discovery mean? Let's find out.
That the original Adamic race was not of the same physical stature as we human beings are today. Some claim that the original Adamic race were giants.
This started around 6,500 years ago in modern-day Iraq. There was an ancient site called Ur. This site has huge historical significance as it was one of the most important cities in the Sumerian civilization, one of the world's earliest civilizations. A group of skilled archaeologists led by the famous Sir Leonard Wooley decided to go on an ambitious excavation mission to explore the secrets hidden beneath the sands of Ur. The team comprised experts from the Penn and British museums, known for their expertise in uncovering ancient treasures. Upon careful analysis, experts believed that the skeleton belonged to a male individual who lived to be at least 50 years old and who may have died of natural causes. But why was he preserved in such a unique way that all the skeleton was intact? This goes a long way to tell that he was probably important. So who exactly was this colossal giant king? However, there are a few speculations about this, the most popular one being that the man could have been an ancient Anunnaki Nephilim king.
In the book of Genesis, it says that the sons of God came into the daughters of men. They created a hybrid offspring who are called the Nephilim.
The Anunnaki are a group of deities in ancient Mesopotamian cultures, including Sumerian, Assyrian, Akkadian, and Babylonian civilizations. According to ancient texts, they were believed to be the descendants of An, god of the heavens, and Ki, goddess of the earth. The Anunnaki were revered as powerful beings who held significant influence over mortal lives and had the authority to decree the fates of humanity. They were also mentioned as the 7 judges of the underworld in the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest surviving works of literature. Now let's take a quick look at who Nephilims are. Nephilims are mysterious beings or people mentioned in the Hebrew Bible and described as large and strong who lived before and after the flood. The Hebrew word Nephilim is sometimes translated as giants and sometimes taken to mean the fallen ones. The Nephilim are known as great warriors and biblical giants. In Genesis, they are referred to as the offspring of the sons of God and daughters of Adam. In mythology, the Nephilim is considered to be the result of a union between an angel and a mortal. This is similar to the conception of the demigods in mythology. Just as is said about demigods, it is believed that Nephilim can come in forms other than the traditional kind. Some said forms would involve being a mortal human who went through a form of ascension where they became angelic beings themselves. Another form would be a mortal with an angelic soul. The Nephilim were not aliens, angels, or rock monsters, as some people think. They were literal physical beings. It was once claimed that the mating of the sons of God and the daughters of Adam that resulted in the Nephilim caused the flood, and this caused the Nephilim to have a negative reputation. This union resulted in the birth of a race known for its great size and strength, often referred to as giants and Nephilims in biblical texts. The connection between Anunnaki the Nephilim and Gilgamesh lies in ancient mythology and their intertwining roles. Let's talk about Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh is a Babylonian series of poems and stories composed sometime before 2000 BC and repeated, translated, and copied through subsequent Mesopotamian states and cultures in Southwest Asia. Gilgamesh was recorded as the 5th king of Uruk and ruled approximately 2600 BC. He was a hero in ancient Mesopotamian mythology and the protagonist of the Epic of Gilgamesh. Subsequently, tales of Gilgamesh's legendary exploits are narrated in 5 surviving Sumerian poems. The earliest of these is likely Gilgamesh, Enkidu, and the Netherworld, in which Gilgamesh comes to the aid of the goddess Inanna and drives away the creatures infesting her Hulupu tree. The Epic of Gilgamesh was rediscovered in the Library of Ashurbanipal in 1849. After being translated in the early 1870s, it caused widespread controversy due to similarities between portions of it and the Hebrew Bible. Gilgamesh remained mostly obscure until the mid-20th century, but since the late 20th century, he has become an increasingly prominent figure in modern culture. However, the Bible and the Epic of Gilgamesh share many points of contact, with common themes, motifs, and messages about Gilgamesh.
Short chance here that we could find direct evidence of the ancestors of modern humans. I suspect we'll find lineages of a race of giants.
So, what are the similarities between the Bible and Gilgamesh? The Epic of Gilgamesh and the Bible have a few similar events, and historians think that they may refer to the same event. The Epic of Gilgamesh, a literary product of Mesopotamia, contains many of the same themes and motifs as the Hebrew Bible. The Epic of Gilgamesh is told in 12 tablets, where some are damaged, and corresponding passages have been taken from other translations to fill in the gaps. Among these, the best known is probably the epic flood story, which reads much like the biblical tale of Noah's Ark, as seen in Genesis 6:9. He wrestles in the night with a divinely appointed assailant who proclaims the hero's identity and predicts that he will prevail over all others. He is taught that the greatest response to mortality is to appreciate those things that make us truly human. Compare Ecclesiastes 9:7-10. But the epic also includes a character whose story bears even more similarities to stories in the Hebrew Bible. Gilgamesh's possession of a plant of immortality is thwarted by a serpent, as seen in Genesis 3. The Bible and the Epic of Gilgamesh both contain a serpent as one of the less significant characters. In both stories, the serpent is depicted as a negative force. As in the biblical story of Adam and Eve, the snake in the Epic of Gilgamesh is a symbol of trickery and deception. It is the thing that denies humanity of immortality or some pleasure. In the Bible, the serpent is a sign of temptation. The serpent convinced Eve to eat fruit from the forbidden tree in the Garden of Eden. This was after God had told her and Adam that they were not allowed, and they lost their immortality to this trickery. So also, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the serpent tricks Gilgamesh's movements to the flower of immortality wish. While Gilgamesh stops to rest and have a bath, the serpent snatches the flower of eternal life from him, consequently taking away immortality from mankind. In the Bible creation story, the serpent chooses Eve's time of weakness, when Adam is not present, to corrupt her brain with physical desires. Also, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the serpent strikes at him, Gilgamesh, in his time of weakness, that is, whilst he is taking a bath. In the epic, the gods create Enkidu, who runs wild with the animals in the open country, as a companion for Gilgamesh. There are particularly interesting similarities between Genesis's Garden of Eden story and Enkidu's movement from nature to culture and civilization. In both stories, a woman is responsible for the transition of a man who had once eaten and drunk with the animals to a state of estrangement from nature. Once the animal world rejects Enkidu, the woman Shamhat gives him clothing and teaches him to drink beer and eat bread. All technological developments that separate humans from animals. However, in Genesis, once Adam has eaten the fruit of the tree of knowledge, he covers his nudity and is sentenced to a life of cultivating food by harsh labor. This is the cost of divine knowledge. In Gilgamesh, when Enkidu becomes estranged from the animals, Shamhat tells him that he has become like a god. Later, on his deathbed, Enkidu laments his removal from a state of nature, only to be reminded by the god Shamash that while civilized life is more fraught with difficulty and the knowledge of one's mortality, it is a worthwhile price for cultural knowledge and awareness. While Gilgamesh is not explicitly referred to as a Nephilim in the biblical sense, his godly ancestry and immense power draw parallels to the Nephilim's traits. That's not all, as the Epic of Gilgamesh references the Anunnaki as the 7 underworld judges. This further brings to mind the idea that Gilgamesh, being the main figure in the epic, is closely linked to the ancient deities. The epic explores Gilgamesh's quest for immortality after the death of his friend Enkidu, which leads him on a journey to seek answers from the gods and confront the inevitability of human mortality. In his journey, he almost had immortality in his hands, but lost it and eventually ended up living a mortal life and dying mysteriously until his tomb was found. However, experts and researchers haven't been able to prove that this was Gilgamesh. Undoubtedly, all signs point to it being true. What's more interesting is that this was not the only time giants were said to have existed, as there have been other cases too. Let's take a look at some that have caused uproar in the world of archaeology. Giants of Catalina Island. In 1920, archaeologist Ralph Glidden claimed to have discovered evidence of a giant race of people that once inhabited Santa Catalina Island, located around 22 miles southwest of Los Angeles. His theory was that a race of fair-skinned, blue-eyed people with an average height of 7 feet once lived on the island and had been worshipped as gods by the locals. He based his claims on numerous artifacts and phones unearthed from the island. The largest phone discovered belonged to a male standing over 9 feet tall. Consequently, Glidden wasn't the first to claim that Santa Catalina was once home to giants. In his 1913 exploration of Santa Catalina Island, Dr. A.W. Firstinen reportedly found the scale ton of an 8-foot-tall human with various artifacts, including a flat stone with unidentifiable symbols. This supports the claims of Glidden and others. Let's look at the small town of Lovelock, Nevada. Remains of abnormally large humans have been found in the depths of this sacred site, leaving researchers and scientists excited and scared simultaneously. Lovelock Cave has long been a sacred and revered location for Native American tribes who have called this region home for generations. According to their beliefs, the spirit of their ancestors resides within the cave's confines, diligently guarding it from any outsider. For centuries, this story prevailed until the 20th century, when a group of archaeologists decided to explore the cave to uncover the mysteries concealed within its walls. Ultimately, the archaeologists aimed to gain more information about the lives and traditions of the indigenous tribes who once lived in the region. But just like Sir Leonard Wooley, they also weren't expecting to find the skeleton of a giant. However, with this unprecedented find, experts are drawing connections to the ancient concept of Nephilim. Yet apart from the sheer size of the skeleton, it's hard to tell if these giants were truly Nephilims. However, there is a question about how these giants disappeared, considering that if they existed, they would be much more powerful than the average human. So how could they go fully extinct while the regular man remained and continued to evolve? In some ancient myths, giants were seen as wicked or corrupt due to their wrongdoing. Divine forces might have decided to bring a great flood upon the earth to cleanse and purify it. The flood was so massive that it wiped out giants and regular-sized humans. According to the Bible, the story of Noah's Ark is a good representation of this. The biblical narrative has it that God saw that the earth was filled with wickedness and corruption due to the actions of giants and humans. So in response to this, he decided to send a catastrophic flood to cleanse the world. A righteous man, Noah, was chosen to build an enormous ark to save himself and a pair of every kind of animal from the impending doom. The entire earth was submerged during the flood, and all living creatures outside the ark perished, including the giants. Another interesting fact is that Greek mythology describes giants as powerful enemies of the gods who engaged in fierce battles with the Olympian deities, leading to epic wars known as gigantomachy. The gigantomachy was a desperate struggle between the giants and the Olympian god, led by Zeus, the king of the gods. They sought to challenge the authority of the Olympians and overthrow their rule. The war was a clash of titanic proportions as they attempted to storm Mount Olympus, the celestial dwelling of the gods, in a bid to dethrone Zeus and seize control of the cosmos. The gods finally prevailed through the aid of Heracles the archer, and the giants were slain. Many of them were believed to lie buried under mountains and to indicate their presence by volcanic fires. So, it is believed that these confrontations between the giants and the gods could have ultimately resulted in the decline and extinction of the giant population. However, if we remove the floods and wars from the picture, other things could have led to the giants being completely wiped out. Let's not forget that even though these giants were massive, they were not invincible and could have just been vulnerable to the forces of nature as humans are. Epidemics might have had a major impact on the giant population, significantly reducing their numbers. They might have been more susceptible to certain illnesses due to their unique structure. Also, it is believed that natural disasters such as volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and cosmic events are sometimes believed to have played a role in the extinction of giants. This discovery has left many wondering about the impacts of giants on the Earth, especially if they still exist today. One way or the other, if giants existed today, there would likely be benefits and challenges that would arise. There could have probably been issues like imbalance in the food chain and ecosystem or dominance, whereby the strong dominate the weak. These giants could also be powerful predators, leading to intense competition with other large animals for food. More so, consider how their size could be a problem for humans. They could easily trample plants and reshape the landscape, creating new habitats for other creatures while destroying the ones we need to survive. Consequently, their size might also stir fear and uncertainty in humans, as they could feel intimidated by the giant's enormous presence. But it might not be that bad to have them around either. Giants could assist in heavy labor tasks, construction, or tasks requiring immense physical strength, potentially making certain jobs easier or more efficient. Think of how their size could have benefited humans. Their sheer size might serve as a deterrent against threats, possibly offering protection to communities or regions. Also, their existence might spark curiosity and interest, leading to advancements in biology, anthropology, and other scientific fields. Giants' cultures and histories could offer valuable insights into human evolution and societal development. I know how this may sound, but there is proof of humans and giants coexisting. I bet you didn't know. Archaeologists have been carrying out excavations at a late Neolithic settlement in a village called Jiaja, located in China's Shandong province. This site has been a center for groundbreaking and intriguing discoveries, including the remains of 104 houses, 250 graves, and 20 sacrificial pits. However, one recent discovery has shocked experts. A graveyard containing the bodies of unusually tall men for the time dates back to around 5,000 years. The men found in this graveyard were notably tall, with some measuring 5 foot 9 inches and one individual standing approximately 6 foot 2 inches tall. Interestingly, Feng Hui, head of Shandong University's School of History and Culture, explains that the estimate of the taller individual's height is based on bone structure. Researchers have proposed a theory to explain the tall stature of these men. It is believed that they may have been high-status individuals with better access to quality food than most of their contemporaries. Also, the presence of large tombs further supports the idea that they were wealthy individuals. However, even with their exceptional heights, the men in the Xiaojia graveyard would not have been on par with Shandong's most famous figure, Confucius. According to legend, Confucius, a native of the region, was said to have reached an outstanding height of 9 and 6 inches, also known as Kongfuzi or Kongzi. He was a Chinese philosopher and educator who lived during the spring and autumn period of ancient China. He was born in 551 BCE in the state of Liu, now part of present-day Chufu in Shandong province, China. Confucius is one of the most influential figures in Chinese history and has impacted Chinese culture, philosophy, and education. As a young man, he studied various subjects, including literature, history, and music. He also developed a deep passion for exploring the principles that govern the universe and human behavior. Confucius, however, experienced challenges as he was not always welcomed by the ruling elite, who preferred to maintain their power through force and coercion rather than adhere to moral principles. Nevertheless, he never stopped teaching and passing on his wisdom to future generations. His philosophy was often centered on the concept of Ren, which translated as benevolence. He believed individuals should cultivate virtues like compassion and respect to create a peaceful society. He also emphasized respecting traditions, family values, and social hierarchies to maintain societal order and stability. Today, Confucius is referred to as one of the greatest thinkers in Chinese history. He wasn't just a myth or a legend. He had a real impact on the area he was from. Another fascinating discovery is in Monte Prima Cobra, Sardinia, where ancient giants dating back more than 3,000 years were found. These Bronze Age giants, known as colossi, are the only human-shaped sculptures in the Mediterranean, measuring over 8 feet tall. These limestone giants served as guardians of an ancient cemetery. They bear a striking resemblance to boxes holding curved shields on their left arms. The find includes 15 heads and 22 torsos. The necropolis at Monteprama contains 3 phases representing different burial practices and traditions. The giant statues were likely shattered in ancient times and placed on top or near the tombs. Archaeologists have speculated on various theories regarding their purpose and destruction. Some experts believe the statues marked a sacred space, while young men suggest it might have been a hero shrine dedicated to honoring these figures. However, not all giants ever found have received treatments like this. What do you think about the existence of giants? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Please like, share, and subscribe for more.